Well, welcome to StudioPTBO podcast. We are back, and Neil Morton is back with a StudioPTBO mug. What kind of coffee is that?
It's a mixture of 10 local cafes. Yeah.
And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're
Coffee.
Coffee. Like, and you and I,
we did.
This is actually how we met, was over coffee.
Yeah.
Dream of Beans, downtown Peterborough.
Yep.
And,
you and Jared Biden.
Yep, exactly. And we had a conversation, kind of take you back. We had a conversation a couple years ago about, you were trying to pitch me. When I was in my Best Buy days, trying to pitch me about becoming a PTBO Canada client, and at the time we didn't have any funding, but we started. We formed a relationship, and that's kind of how why we're here.
It started casually over coffee.
100%.
Yeah, and it led to doing the tunnels at the Memorial Center. A little collaboration there.
I know.
And to me, and Cody and I, as a little context, were texting about this over the weekend. We had a little debate about the value of coffee. We listened to a podcast. I forget the name of the person who said, to him, coffee is a bit of a waste of time unless you have a real strategy going in.
Why I don't do coffee. Yeah. Essentially was the name of the podcast, Alex Sharp and Momentum Podcast.
Right.
And I love his podcast.
Yeah.
And I disagreed with him and I agreed with him at the same time. So so go ahead.
And I completely disagreed with him.
Okay, that's
so
fine.
I hope he hears this.
Yeah.
For me, literally, I'm in this room now with you because I took people for coffee and people took me for coffee. I will never give it up as long as I live.
Yeah.
It literally is the most valuable networking tool. I think serendipity and coffee is absolutely beautiful. So not going in with a clear strategy. I think sometimes I do. Sometimes I kind of weed out and filter. Okay.
Well, you had a strategy with me. You were trying to sell me.
Yeah, but true, but
yes.
Super soft sell.
Oh,
and
yeah, it was
a lot of
soft sell.
coffees I do are literally to pick people's brains, nuggets of information here and there. I'd say 90% of the coffees I do, Cody, are so soft sell that really there's no expectation going in. And some of the biggest clients I have now started with coffee 3 years ago, and it just forms over time. It's a relationship build. So I actually did disagree with everything he said in that podcast.
I think it all depends on the context in which where you are at in your business and where you are at with your time. I think he's talking about more than anything, like he is talking about CEOs that don't have time because they have X amount of employees that they have to take care of. They have just a different, they're at a different spot in life,
right?
Than maybe
fair enough.
We may be. Or maybe, an entrepreneur just starting out.
True.
Maybe.
I guess it's the context. And maybe
it's the context of the conversation.
Yeah,
so if you're trying to grow and scale a business,
no one in Peterborough should not take coffee. That's what I'm saying. There's no one at that level of the CEO level.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far.
Hardly any, I would say. I would say 90% of the people that we deal with, our client base and entrepreneurs should be doing coffee.
Yeah.
I think he's talking to me, Cody, Fortune 500 companies.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know, because you got to remember, my time is pretty valuable. And a lot of times what happens, we'll go down this rabbit hole when it comes to entrepreneurship is, I have been in certain meetings where people are like, hey, I want to pick your brain. And then I get to the meeting and they want a job. And I'm like, this is not a job interview. Mm-hmm. I don't have I don't have the means right now in order to give you a job. Mm-hmm. Send me your CV. It's just like that. And that's what I mean. So I understand what he was saying, in the sense of, and I understand what you're saying. I think what happens oftentimes is people think, they especially in the video industry, they want to pick my brain, and we get into a meeting thinking that they're going to get hired. I just don't I don't do it that way.
It's different for you than it has been for me. People take me out to pick my brain about life. I guess because I'm older, I have more wisdom. It's a different context why people take me out.
I like what you said the other day. You mentioned how sometimes you'll ask for what is the subject of the coffee, because and I think that is the preface to that conversation. It's
they won't always give it away either, Cody.
They won't.
I have found sometimes they give you a little softball, but the hard ball is when you get there, and you just don't always know.
Totally.
So I have to be honest. Again, For me in Peterborough, if you're an entrepreneur starting out, networking, coffee, coffee,
So
go
how
to
do you-
events.
so
and,
as
and
an
for instance,
entrepreneur-
you're on a board.
Oh, totally.
I'm on the chamber board.
I give away a lot of my
was on
time.
the chamber board.
Yep.
I've been on many boards. No expectation of
Yep.
getting anything back.
Yeah.
But that's part of, to me, coffee is part of community. It's part of
100%.
community building. I'm gonna give back.
110% agree with
And
you.
support
I
my local cafe.
love your local realtor, love your local cafe,
Yeah.
love your local everything.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I totally get it, and I believe in coffee. I believe in in networking. I believe that it works. What I'm trying to get at, and what I think Alex was getting at in the podcast is like you just have to be wise with your time.
Yeah.
More than anything, especially when you have a team, especially when you're growing and scaling a team. I think more than anything, it's like all the if I'm at coffee after coffee after coffee, like if my day is full of coffee, what am I actually getting done?
Yeah.
I think you just have to be I think what he was trying to say is you just have to be conscious of your time. If your day is full
I agree with that.
of coffee meetings, and it's like
It's never got
you
that.
seem like you're productive, but you're not actually being productive.
Yeah, it's never got that busy for me. No, and if he is listening to this, if he ever does, we would love to have you on to contextualize this further. And Cody and I would love to ask you questions about that, the context of what you're talking about. Because I think early stage Alex wouldn't be saying what he's saying now. That's my point.
Yep.
And coffee doesn't take up all my time, and I don't think anyone would realistically ever do that, to be honest, Cody. Like I would maybe do 3 or 4 coffees a week with someone. And to be honest, again, I have to, when I'm starting out, I was emailing local entrepreneurs, CEOs of their businesses saying, can I take you out for coffee?
Yep.
So thank God they said yes, because I did not go to business school. I knew nothing about entrepreneurship, running a business.
Yep.
And thank you to everyone who said yes to me for
100%.
coffee.
It's a really good way to excel your growth really quickly, is to get around people that are more knowledgeable than you, is to try to be the dumbest person in the room.
And we'd love to, when we post this podcast, we'd love to hear your thoughts about coffee and the value to you, like on a scale of 1 to 10. How often would you do coffee? Who do you recommend taking for coffee? What context, like you said, how much should you filter out beforehand?
And I think it just comes down to a time management thing, where it's like, people say, well, I couldn't, grow my business, but then they spend, 4 hours of their day doing coffee.
Right.
Is that element
if
of like,
they do, yeah. For me, that was the only way I knew to grow my business, and it worked. But there might be other ways for other people, like 100%. Alex, that work better. Yep. So it's really like it's a mix of ingredients.
It's a time management thing at the end of the day. It really comes down to that. It really comes down to time management.
Yeah. And you know what? The coffee I say no to next week because it's time management, I'll book a month from now. I'll say I can do it next month.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
exactly.
It doesn't have to happen right away.
Totally. It doesn't have to happen right away. And you can be honest about that. And I think, one of the biggest things, is just like, there are certain coffees where even going in that nothing's going to happen, which is okay.
And you know what? I do most of the time, and I rarely say no. Yeah. It's just me. It's just comes down to self-awareness. You might not, you might be different. And Curtis
I generally pretty much always say yes.
Yeah. For me, I have trouble saying no. For me, because you just never know in life. It's the whole Scooter Braun thing. That episode he did with Gary Vaynerchuk. He said he always takes the last call. Yeah. He always reads the last email, because that could be the next big discovery, right? It's true. Like, that's sort of my attitude toward life. It's hard for me to say no. Mm-hmm. But I get it. When you hit a certain level, I haven't afforded that or reached that level, and I hope I never do, to be honest, because I love coffee with people. So yeah,
that's fair.
We'd love to hear your feedback.
Love to hear your feedback. I want to jump in, and go a little bit left, and we chatted about entrepreneurship, your 31 tips you recently put out for entrepreneurs. Maybe we can kind of go through that list really quickly and just kind of pick something out of there, and maybe we can just chat about the 31. If you don't know what we're talking about on LinkedIn, we'll actually post it in the actual comment section below. So when you edit this, make sure you find the link. Neil's going to post, and you're going to post it in the comment section, driving people to the actual 31 tips.
And we post it several times to our StudioPTBO Facebook page. I post it to my LinkedIn. We post it to the Hacks group several times. Repetition.
And if you're not in the Marketing Hacks group, join the Hacks group. There's almost 300 business owners in the group. They're just passionate about learning about marketing, how to build and grow their business.
If you're
online.
in the group, you can come to our first event June 13th as well here at StudioPTBO.
Totally.
First to meet everyone.
Don't show up unless you're in the group.
Yeah. But you can ask me for coffee separately. So one of the big ones was, again, networking. And I think, you know, to me, networking is huge, going to events. So that's a big one. We can go there again, but we have in a prior podcast, community. Whatever community you live in, give back to your community with no expectations. Give with no expectations of getting. And I believe in karma. I believe stuff comes around. Be nice. Build a honey empire. I think we're trying to do that.
Yeah. Just be nice.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah. Don't be a dick. I mean, you know, you can read the whole list, but collaboration, innovation, respond to when clients reach out to you, when customers or would-be prospective customers reach out to you. Yeah. DM them back.
Having you know, let's stop there. Having a good follow-up measure, I think is something that is super important. Like, you know, when I reach out to a client or when a client reaches out to me, they're generally pretty happy when I follow up with them. So what I do for myself is we use Trello to keep track of all of our, well, I do. I don't know what you use. I know you're still old school and you still write everything down. I use Trello, and I set a due date in my calendar to remind me to follow up with that said person on said date. You know, so I think it's really effective because I've had multiple people that haven't said yes right away, but they said, you know, follow up with me in the spring. Okay. Right. What day would you like me to follow up with you in the spring? April 13th. Awesome. On April 13th, I'm going to follow up with you. And then I just send them a quick email saying, hey, are you still looking to do video? Hey, are you still looking for leads? Whatever the conversation may be happen. I think a lot of people struggle, you know, freelancers, even entrepreneurs struggle with follow-up.
They struggle with making the initial ask, let alone the follow-up. You're quite right.
Yep.
Yeah, very good point. So follow-up is absolutely essential.
Yeah, what does follow-up look like for you?
Follow-up for me is a little more casual. So I will write, like, as you said, I don't necessarily put in Trello, but it's like I write it down. I make a mental note I might follow up sooner. If something happens and I feel like something's happened with them, I'll say, oh, happy birthday, or wow, congrats on this business success. Yeah. So I won't necessarily wait. I think you kind of have to play to the moment and what's happening with them in their life.
But do you have a mental note? Like, do you have
I should. To your point, you have to have it written down. Christmas, I'll reach out to clients on Christmas, on their birthday. I make a point on Facebook. I wish everyone a happy birthday, and because it makes me feel good. It's not all strategy. My life is not all strategy. A lot of life is just organic and spontaneous, and it just leads to beautiful things.
I think it needs to be both.
It needs to be both. Yeah.
Think, like,
for me, it's always been a mix.
Yeah. You know, and over the last
little while, if it's all strategy, I think people can see through it. That it's like if someone's all business, I think I'm not drawn to that. I think it's bullshit. So it has to be a fine line between strategy and just being a good person.
Well, I talked about that in the marketing hacks group yesterday about the 1 in 5 rule. You know, it's like if everything you if you're a real estate agent and everything you post on social media is a posting of a listing, I have no idea who the hell you are.
Right.
Because everything is a picture of a home. For all I know, you're a home.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are.
Yep.
So you know, it's like it's really diving deep into, you know, building that connection, becoming the thought leader in your industry.
Yep.
You know, from a social media standpoint, because the thing is, you know, you talk about coffees and coming back to networking. I am going to feel more comfortable reaching out to you if you put yourself out on social, whether it be a prospect, whether it be just somebody who is you know, looking to connect with you.
Yep.
Could be a prospect down the road, could be a client down the road. I'm going to feel more comfortable if you follow that 1 in 5 rule, where it's like 1 in 5 posts have something to do with
100%
a conversion metric of some sort. You know,
again, I equate it to the editorial mix in the magazine industry.
Yep.
We have a little bit of the hard sell stuff, a little bit of the soft sell stuff, and a little bit of the in-between, right?
Totally.
The subject expertise. Other stuff quickly, cash flow, resilience.
Cash flow is huge.
Cash flow is huge.
So if you haven't talked to Bob Govero at Govero CPA about your cash flow, dear God, please do it.
Yeah, every meeting we have, the partners meeting we have every Tuesday, first thing we talk about is cash flow. Yeah. Everyone says they're going to do it. Yeah.
Making sure that you have money to pay your employees is super important.
Yep.
You know, don't miss payroll. Like, you know, like it's one of the biggest things that, you know, for any business, like cash flow is super important. Make sure you have cash in the bank in order to pay your employees and do other things. You know, I've heard so many different thought leaders in industries talk about cash flow and talk about how you should make sure you have a buffer zone. You know, that's super important. And I think that a lot of people forget that.
And I want to dive deeper on a future episode. This is a long, extensive list, and there's a lot of stuff I want to dive deeper with you on. You have a 15-minute triage call coming up,
I have a call
which
at
again is a great example of seeing whether you're a fit with a client or not.
Totally.
So we should talk about that on a future episode. When to call someone, when to go for coffee, when to have them into your studio, when to meet. Like it's very nuanced, right?
Me more than anything, I'm trying to leverage my time. You know, like as we're growing, like, you know, I'm really in a. I find I go through different, like, you know, last year my focus was coffee, you know, getting in front of many people. Now I'm trying to be more leveraged with my time because we are trying to grow at the video division more than anything.
Yep.
So like I find, you know, it's okay. You don't need to feel bad for saying no.
Yep.
At this point in time,
I still feel bad when I say no,
yeah.
but it's just everyone's different.
Everyone's
and I
different.
get it, and it's working. What we're doing, all the different entry points and our ethos and our philosophy is leading to where we are right now.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's no right or wrong. Thanks for tuning in. This is
thanks for tuning into the StudioPTBO podcast. Thanks, Neil, for, you know, writing that 31 tips on, you know, how to build business or whatever, whatever you called it.
You know, it's be nice to your waitress.
Be
Really,
nice.
it's
Yeah.
like be nice to people.
Totally,
Because you
It's
just
not rocket
never know.
science.
Yeah, you
It's not
never
rocket
know.
science.
I see so many people shit on waitresses. And it's like, you disrespect service
People see that.
People see that.
Yeah.
You're right. They see it in the restaurant.
Yeah.
But it's also that person is side hustling, right? They're a future leader in the community, an entrepreneur,
Trust
a
me.
CEO. Yeah.
Trust me. I worked at Best Buy.
Yeah.
And like I know some people that, you know, have gone into business that shit on me and my staff when I was at Best Buy. I don't forget that.
People don't forget it.
No.
Nope.
Don't forget it.
Never forget it.
So just be nice to people. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think that was really the element of that, that post that you did.
Yeah, that's the macro.
Be nice to people. You know, like take a coffee, don't take a coffee.
Yeah.
You got to figure that out on
Be
your own.
self-aware.
Yeah, be
Yeah.
self-aware.
Yeah.
Self-awareness at the end of the day it really works. Thank you again for tuning into the StudioPTBO podcast. Like we said, you know, share this video with, you know, a business owner that you might think is, you know, like wants to hear this kind of information. If you're not in the StudioPTBO Marketing Hacks group, join.
Absolutely. Very collaborative space.
Ton of
Super
collaboration
interactive,
happening.
Super helpful, and it's
Yeah.
really starting to come
Knowledge,
up.
questions, tons of information.
Tips, tricks, hacks. Like, yeah.
It's a hack
It's all
group.
there. Yeah.
Well, thank you for tuning in to the StudioPTBO podcast. We will see you soon.